Hello, everybody. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset Cafe, where we read a few pages of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich and then have a discussion about what we have read. Today, we are on the final 3 pages of the book, and we're talking about famous alibis written by Old Man If. So, near the top of page 256 of the copy that I happen to have and am reading from, we have 57 famous alibis by Old Man If. People who do not succeed have one distinguishing trait in common. They know all the reasons for failure and have what they believe to be airtight alibis to explain away their own lack of achievement. Some of these alibis are clever, and a few of them are justifiable by the facts, but alibis cannot be used for money. The world wants to know only one thing. Have you achieved success? A character analyst compiled a list of the most commonly used alibis. As you read the list, examine yourself carefully and determine how many of these alibis, if any, are your own property. Remember, too, the philosophy presented in this book makes every one of these alibis obsolete. If I didn't have a wife and family, if I had enough pull, if I had money, if I had a good education, if I could get a job, if I had good health, if I only had time, if times were better, if other people understood me, if conditions around me were only different, if I could live my life over again, if I did not fear what they would say, if I had been given a chance, if I now had a chance, if other people didn't have it in for me, if nothing happens to me, if I were only younger, if I could only do what I want, if I had been born rich, if I could meet the right people, if I had the talent that some people have, if I dared assert myself, if I only had embraced past opportunities, if people didn't get on my nerves, if I didn't have to keep house and look after the children, if I could save some money, if the boss only appreciated me, if I only had somebody to help me, if my family understood me, if I lived in a big city, if I could just get started, if I were only free, if I had the personality of some people, if I were not so fat, if my talents were known, if I could just get a break, if I could only get out of debt, if I hadn't failed, if I only knew how, if everybody didn't oppose me, if I didn't have so many worries, if I could marry the right person, if people weren't so dumb, if my family were not so extravagant, if I were sure of myself, if luck were not against me, if I had not been born under the wrong star, if it were not true that what it is to be will be, if I did not have to work so hard, if I hadn't lost my money, if I lived in a different neighborhood, if I didn't have a past, if I only had a business of my own, if other people would only listen to me, if, and this is the greatest of them all, I had the courage to see myself as I really am, I would find out what is wrong with me and correct it. Then I might have a chance to profit by my mistakes and learn something from the experience of others, for I know that there is something wrong with me, or I would now be where I would have been if I had spent more time analyzing my weaknesses and less time building alibis to cover them. Building alibis with which to explain away failure is a national pastime. The habit is as old as the human race and is fatal to success. Why do people cling to their pet alibis? The answer is obvious. They defend their alibis because they create them. A man's alibi is the child of his own imagination. It is human nature to defend one's own brainchild. Building alibis is a deeply rooted habit. Habits are difficult to break, especially when they provide justification for something we do. Plato had this truth in mind when he said, "The first and best victory is to conquer self. To be conquered by self is of all things the most shameful and vile." Another philosopher had the same thought in mind when he said, "It was a great surprise to me when I discovered that most of the ugliness I saw in others was but a reflection of my own nature." "It has always been a mystery to me," said Albert Hubbard, "why people spend so much time deliberately fooling themselves by creating alibis to cover their weaknesses. If used differently, the same time would be sufficient to cure the weakness, then no alibis would be needed." In parting, I would remind you that life is a checkerboard and the player opposite you is time. If you hesitate before moving or neglect to move promptly, your men will be wiped off the board by time. You are playing against a partner who will not tolerate indecision. Previously, you may have had a logical excuse for not having forced life to come through with whatever you asked, but that alibi is now obsolete because you are in possession of the master key that unlocks the door to life's bountiful riches. The master key is intangible, but it is powerful. It is the privilege of creating in your own mind a burning desire for a definite form of riches. There is no penalty for the use of the key, but there is a price you must pay if you do not use it. The price is failure. There is a reward of stupendous proportions if you put the key to use. It is a satisfaction that comes to all who conquer self and force life to pay whatever is asked. The reward is worthy of your effort. Will you make the start and be convinced? "If we are related," said the immortal Emerson, "we shall meet." In closing, may I borrow his thought and say, if we are related, we have, through these pages, met. The end. Wow. Good morning, everybody. Hello, Cassie, Joe, Matt, so good to see you. Dina, always a pleasure to see you. Ken, so glad you're here. Whew. Yeah, the ugliness I saw in others was a reflection of my own image. Yes. And it's not the image that I saw in the mirror, it's the insides. If my insides are upside down or sideways, that's the way I view other people. And I'm affected by that. Yeah, so how many of those alibis, what I refer to as excuses, have I said? Quite a few. I don't say them anymore, but over the years, I've said quite a few. I hear it from people I know, and it frustrates me. You know? It frustrates me when I hear some of them because it's so obviously an excuse. Isn't that funny? And others I don't feel quite as frustrated about because I get it. And those are the ones I've used myself. Or the ones that I am removing from me as I grow and identify them, right? All right, so seats are open. I welcome anybody who wants to jump in and get the conversation started about what Napoleon Hill is calling alibis. That dreadful if only is what I'm seeing here. And if only this, if only that. And you can go along and whining too, and you guys know how I feel about whining. I'm okay with somebody being on a pity pot for about 5 minutes. That's all I'll give you when I'm working with somebody or I'm listening, offering that compassionate ear to a point. But if it goes into whining, into the if only, or I can't do this, or, again, whining, I tend to be a little harsh, a little brusque. Enough. Yeah, but. Yeah, and then you've got the infamous yeah, but, which is related to the rabbit with the lousy accent. How's that? Which means that you'll hop away from doing something quickly because you negate it by saying but. All right, so come on in. Who do we have? Who wants to talk about, have you heard these? Have you heard it from yourself? I kind of like what he said here. I've not heard this before, that life is a checkerboard. And who am I playing against? I'm playing against time. Persisting in folly. Persisting in folly. Good morning, Justin. Good to see you here. Glad you're here. Persisting in folly. It's interesting. To me, it is, these are speed bumps, internal. These are the internal speed bumps, flood walls, concrete walls that we cannot seem to master or to get through. Hello, Marcia. Good to see you here. Externally, yes, there are things that happen, and with the right mindset, we come out better. That's a good way to put it. It's the coming out part that oftentimes is the most difficult. You all have been on my journey from coming out of the survival mode into the growth mode, right? And that's my mindset. And it's happening. And it's happening because I made the conscious decision that it needed to happen. I sought a way to make it happen, which was asking all of you to join me in one part of my morning routine, which is reading something like this and contemplating it and how does it actually work for me and what can I do to change. And because of that and your participation in this, I have succeeded in changing my mindset. I recognize where I still have some things to work on, but I made the conscious decision that they will happen. Hello, Cheryl. Good to see you. Come on, Dina. Any second now, you're pulsing for me. Oh, here you are.
Good morning.
Good morning, dear. How are you?
You know, I think blab is much better when you have somebody to discuss. I've done blabs as well, so talking by yourself,
much better as a dialogue.
It's not as
yes.
So one of the things I like about your blabs, I all about mindset, of course, and I like the Think and Grow Rich, but is that good discussion that comes out of it, either a participant or a listening. So, oh, hi there, Mira Bale. Mira, hi, everybody. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon. Oh, wow, 1313. It's afternoon
Oh, thank
here.
you, Chuck. Good to see you here. Welcome,
Afternoon
Chuck.
here in the UK. I'm in the UK. Hello from London is coming and going. If I look a little bit weird, I'm still coming off from cold, and I'm having a slight headache.
Oh.
But still, I would love to chat with you. So, Charlene, I do apologize. I wasn't here from the beginning, so you could give me just a sense of what you read. I'm not very good in following somebody reading as well. My mind drifts away. So what's the essence of today?
The essence is you can have as many excuses as you want, but the result is you're not going to get anywhere until you get rid of the excuses. So stop harboring, nurturing, and relying on alibis and excuses for not getting where you want to go.
Aren't we good at that? I mean, aren't we? We are so experienced. We are actually experts.
Yes, and that's what he's saying. It comes from our own mind. It's our own creation, so we need to nurture it, right?
You know, the creativity of human beings, I tell you, we are so intelligent. And I mean, I see it, I can hear my own mind, but I see it in other people, my children especially, right? How they can just bring the whole topic in a way that they can actually justify what they are saying.
Master rationalization. Master rationalizers and justifiers.
So, yeah, we are very good at creating excuses. And the problem is that when we cannot actually see where we are wrong and why we are wrong, we just can't see it. We absolutely live it as our truth. And it's very difficult. When we are in it, it's so very difficult to see it. The whole world can see it, and we can't see it because we are in that hologram in our own reality. Sometimes it goes vice versa. Sometimes it's that perhaps we are in the right and the whole world is wrong. So it's so difficult to discriminate when to follow your own mind and when you need to stand back and say, well, let me see if maybe they are right. Maybe what I'm saying is an excuse. I'm just speaking aloud now, Charlie. Thinking aloud.
It's beautiful. Keep going.
Thinking aloud is the word. Speaking aloud. So basically, I think if the other people are saying something which is negative about us, we need to sit back. Actually, no. Either way, we need to stand back and see it, because sometimes they say something positive, but they're not very genuine. Some people. So we say, oh, right, they think, oh, I'm great, and actually I'm not that great. So don't go ahead and believe everybody. Don't go ahead and believe everybody, no matter what they are saying, good or bad. All right? Let's start with that. Don't go ahead and believe everybody.
Think about it first, right? Have a discerning mind.
Think about, stand back and really think about it. And if it has something to do, I think what Napoleon Hill here wants to tell us or protect us from, that if we go into this, I can't because of this, that, I'm not able to because of this, that. I'm in this situation because of that. I think this is what he's talking about, going into that negativity, and then we use these excuses for procrastinating, not moving forward. What else do we do? Not wanting to leave our comfort zone, not wanting to get rid of our limiting beliefs. What do you think, Shirley?
I am so spot on with everything you're doing. Just keep going, Dina. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm on fire. I've realized because I'm doing Periscope as well, right? If I am on my own, I cannot be my full self for some reason. Well, it depends, of course, which other person I'm having. But here is like I can loosen up a little bit more and more me, and I can be funny. I'm not all that.
I love it. I love it.
I
love that you feel that way with me.
I can see many.
It means a lot to me, though, that you feel comfortable with us and with me. I love that. This is funny because a lot of the excuses, so he was going through this whole list of alibis, right? Which any one of us could pick out. I'm sure. I know that I recognize myself in a few. I've actually said a few. But what's interesting to me is that they're not anything except across the line a human thing. So you can pick even that which I already have, of which that's making me successful, you will use as an excuse for not doing it. Do you know what I mean? So that's, if I only didn't have so much money to worry about. I actually have no people who think like that because they came into money and they don't know how to manage it, so they're afraid of losing it. So if I only didn't have to worry about that, right? If only I didn't have that highly successful parent that expected so much of me. I can never reach their expectations, right? I mean, it can go it can go in such ridiculous ways. And some of these, as I read them, I was thinking, yeah, I've seen that and thought, yeah, it's ridiculous. If I were only free, please tell me how you're not. If you're in the United States of America, you have the freedom of movement. And this one always gets people because I've moved so much in my own life that mentally, intellectually, I understand the attachment to being in a place because I see it a lot. People will die in a place before they go 100 miles to move to something better.
Change is hard.
Yeah. So I get easy. That, but I can't tell you how many times I've said that to people here who are stuck. They feel stuck. Well, I'm not free to just go. I said, why not? I don't understand why you're not. Because I don't, if you don't know how to, I'll be happy to show you. It's really not that difficult. It's not. I've done it so many times. I've lost count after 27. I can show you how to do that. Where do you want to go? Or I would love to be in Montana working here. So why aren't you? I can never leave here. Well, why not? Because, and essentially it's because nobody ever leaves here. Oh God, you know. And you know, it's just things like that that are foreign to me, so I can recognize them as excuses and alibis. But of course, I don't have any of my own, so just wanted to.
You know where else I find myself like giving excuses? When I fall flat on something, on a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. You know, my mom, I have two young kids, and of course, years back, they were even younger. So I would say, oh, I have to take care of two young kids. They demand a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot go, you know, to network and what else I can do. So basically, you know, I dedicate more time to my business. And then I come across very successful women with very young babies, and I said, oh God, here goes my excuse. They flattened it.
Yeah. You dare not say it out loud.
Reason. I have to find another reason of my failure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So, because it hurts. It hurts.
Well, and we get, you know, I can see where what I say to myself doesn't feel like justification. It doesn't feel like an excuse. It doesn't feel like an alibi. It seems like an honest assessment of what's happening. But I think that it goes into justification, alibi, excuse when I hang on to it after the event has happened. So I think that's important for me to recognize. One of the reasons why, well, when I talk about, you know, me coming out of survival mode, all those, a long time I was in survival mode, which was initially because of the recession. And then it was compounded. I made it through that, right? But then it was compounded by some things that were happening in 2013 with customers and financial issues. So now it became, let's tighten up and let's just get through this. We're going to get through this. The events happened. It's gone. But I stayed in we got to get through this. We're just going to get through this. We're just going to get through this. So that's what I mean by it seemed as if I were assessing reality. But what I was doing was simply hanging on to that visceral response of fear of losing, right? We're going to lose the house. We're going to lose what little money we have. But what we'll focus on is just the two of us. We're going to make this. This happened before. This has happened time and time and time again throughout our marriage, actually. Outside things happening. Our response to it has always been, tighten up, we'll get through it. This time, it just stuck with me. Instead of a few months going by and saying, well, we made it through. Now let's grow. Instead of that, I stuck in let's just get through it.
You know
let's
why,
just do
right?
what's necessary. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, though. Is
reprogram. You already reprogrammed your mind.
That's exactly what happened. And I didn't see that. I did not see that as an excuse. I did not see that as a justification for what I was doing, was justifying why we are still in this. Because I would rail against, I'm doing all the right things. But I'm not seeing that I was still in survival mode. Now, then there came a time, end of 2014 roughly, when I saw I was still in survival mode and was looking for ways to get out of it, to change my mindset. And that's when it became, well, I'm doing all the right things. Why is this not changing? I'm not feeling better. I'm not feeling positive. I'm not focused. What's going on? And everything else. And honest to goodness, when I opened up, this is what I do in the mornings. I read and I meditate and I try to figure out what I'm supposed to do with what I read. I brought it to Blab. You guys have joined me in the study of what I should be doing next. And I have been able to now get out of that survival mode. But I had to reach outside and get it from you guys. But again, I could not see that it was the mindset of survival mode. That was the justification for why I was doing what I was doing. I can now. That's what I mean. Is
that's for everybody, right? Because of this recession thing. Okay, I mean, it was a worldwide thing. It hit America, of course. It hit the UK. I don't know if you know, I'm Greek, so Greece is going through
its upheaval in Greece.
Own things there, and
I have an assistant who lives in Greece.
I won't go into the details. The politics. You go there, go there, see the whole situation is every part of the survival mode. I mean, things they're pretty bad. But look, even in America, right? They have always been rich people. They have always been people that make money. Recession, right? Yeah, fine. Recession, okay. But why you want to be in the pot? Why are we choosing? I mean, not say, why are we choosing to be on the 99% of the population who is in the survival mode, and not in the 1% who are thriving? So there is 1% who is thriving. So why are they thriving, and why are we not?
What are they doing that I'm not? That's part of my thinking of what I was doing last year. And I started following people and being a part of groups that were people who were thriving. But I still wasn't able to break through. It was a process I had to go through because I hung on to that survival for so long. That's all it was. I'd hung on so long that it really took a lot of conscious effort to get through it and to grow past it.
You have to. There are some things, especially deep-rooted, imprinted things, that they can't just go with the conscious mind telling the subconscious mind, go ahead and change the programming. It won't happen. You need to consciously create the new habit. No matter what technique you are using. There are quite a few out there. But you need to use something, and you need to be persistent, and you need to be using it to help you reprogram the mind. And this consistency can't happen. They're saying every new habit. Some people say 21 days. Some people say 30 days. Some people say 40 days. I guess everybody's different, but you need a certain period of time to reinforce the new habit. Or go ahead and do EFT tapping and get rid of the habit very, very quickly. Within half an hour, it happens.
I've learned about that. Just recently, I've learned about that.
We should do that. We can do that anytime you want. Here in Lab, I have no problem. Choose the limiting belief.
It's an excellent technique.
Disturbs you, and we can experiment.
Get rid of it.
I dare do it on public because I know it has high levels of success. Even if you don't believe in the technique at all, the power of belief is not necessary with this technique.
I agree. Having just, and it was just this week I experienced it myself. I had a bit of an understanding of it, and then participated, and I said, oh, okay, now I get it. And actually I could see the scientific reason behind it, which helped. That helps me.
Yes.
I need to have something a little more. There's a reason behind it that helped to reinforce, other than the fact that it just worked. And other things, yes, I do. It just works. So Cassie, what are other ways to step into that energy or to create new habits? It starts with a thought. Let's go back to the title of the book, Think and Grow Rich. That's what I love about Napoleon Hill. It starts with a thought. We have control of our own thoughts. And we set upon what is our desire? What is it that we want? What is it that we are willing to be persistent in getting, to make decisions that will continue moving us toward our desire, our major definite purpose, which everybody knows I read every morning and every night. And there are exercises.
Oops. Have we lost Charlene? I can't see Charlene. Guys, can you let me know in the comments area? Can you see her? So I'm sure she'll come back. I don't know how to bring her back because I'm just a guest here, I think. So, okay, till she comes back, guys, let me just tell you, based on the question, can you hear me at least? Oh, here she is.
Sorry about that. I just got kicked out.
Good thing I was here.
Yes. Very good thing. Very good thing. Actually, are you going to be here for a while? Whether inside or outside? Well, I'm just going to make you host in case I do get really kicked out. Could be, you know, where my internet connection just goes completely. And what that means, it can take 4 to 5 minutes before I'm able to get back in. But at least you would be able, being a host, you can hold the room open because there is a host in the room. So, okay.
When I have to go, I can let you know. I can be here for another half an hour, maybe.
Okay, that's plenty.
Then I have to go and have my lunch.
And I'm going to have my breakfast. Okay. Terrific. Okay. So, yeah, you know, you were talking about that Alibis is a deeply rooted habit. At least that's what Napoleon Hill says. And when Plato has this truth is the first and best victory is to conquer self. The identification of what's just, I guess, being able to discern what's helpful and what's not, right? That comes with experience, practice, and learning.
Practice is to everything, really. I mean, that's secret to mastery. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to use an example also to Casey's question. Think about how you're holding a stone, any ordinary stone, and you have a knife. And with the knife, you keep on, what's the expression, the right word?
Striking the stone or cutting the stone or?
Yeah, like scratching the surface of the stone on the same place again and again and again and again. So the more you do it, what happens? The deeper the cut, right? The habit is exactly the same thing. So imagine that stone now full of these cuts. And some cuts are terrible. Some cuts really, they shouldn't be there. So this is what habits really are. So there are two things I believe that we'll hear. One is to, work on getting rid of the old cut. So basically try and fill it down, creating a new habit. Take your knife again and start making your scratch. So the repetition again will make it deeper and deeper and deeper. So old habit, new habit. So this is if you want to have a visual on how the habits are created. This is how
that's it. See, and that's what I love about this book is he actually tells us what we can replace the old with. That's what I like. I understand the concepts of being better, growing and moving forward and maturing and all of that. I understand that, but nothing happens until I can replace what I need to get rid of. It just doesn't.
Sometimes
I have to replace it with something.
Yeah, replace is a good word in my understanding at this point of time. They say, meditation and affirmations and creative visualization, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. It's not going to work if you're thinking, and that's usually I say that's where all these abundance gurus really don't tell you everything or where they go wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't like the word guru very much to use it for anybody or myself, but I think it's like having a glass of dirt and you're trying to pour clean water. No, because you will say that, right? But the dirt stays really at the bottom. Okay, right. Maybe one example. You know what I mean? It's like if you're trying to mix the mud with water, it will continue to be mud.
If you're wanting to get rid of the old, you can't mix the new with the old and then have the old gone.
Yes,
you have to bring in the new and the old goes out. Otherwise, you
need to remove the old.
You've got a new, messed up mongrel old, is really all you've got, because the old is still there. That will be the predominant thought, the predominant response, feeling, right?
You know, I don't know if you have heard Abraham Hicks,
I'm
the law of
familiar.
attraction. They talk about, I mean, the main thing is it's channeled entity through Esther Hicks, and the whole philosophy behind that is keep on focusing on the positive and the positive feelings, and then all the negatives will go. And although I agree with many things of this philosophy, this specific thing, I don't 100%. First of all, thanks everybody who has been following me on Blab. Wanted to say that. I appreciate that. But you know, like I've been doing meditation and teaching meditation for the last 25 years. And by practicing meditation and creative visualization, all that by itself has not helped me rid of my fears or my limitations, my habits, or anything of that sort. So I think we need to work on both. Yes, bring in the positive things. Yes, don't focus on the negative things, but you need to do something to get rid of some things that are very deep rooted, right? Like fear. Okay. If you have had an accident, a car accident, or somebody, you know, you were in an accident, somebody beloved died from a car accident. Now, to get rid of that fear from within you, it just cannot go by bringing in creative visualization.
Thank you. You're right.
You know what I mean? So you need to work on releasing that fear from your energy field, and then you free space from your energy field. You free space to bring in the positive. So that's my tip. Have both at the same time.
Okay.
Work on both.
Okay, I can see it now. Thank you. I can see it now. Mine was pretty black and white, wasn't it? It's pretty black and white, and I don't know that that's possible. I think in some cases, along the lines of what you're talking about, the slow entry is possible. But I do know, get rid of the word but, I do know this to be true. There have been instances throughout my life when I did a focused effort, and it included that self-examination where I identified something and it was gone.
Yes.
And that can happen. So I know that to be true.
I will agree with that. Yes, it can happen. Sometimes all we need is just a realization.
Yes. Yeah, bringing it out, bringing light to it, saying it out loud. You know, those have been some of my experiences as well. I want to give a quick hello to everybody out there that's joined us. Mark, it's good to see you
Charlene,
here.
This is what I'm not good in. I'm not good in talking.
Yeah.
Focusing on what you're saying and reading the comments. I know people have been writing, but I'm so not good at this. So sorry, guys.
Okay. Oh, Dina. Listen, we've got open seats. Anybody wants to join the conversation? It would be great to have you here. Yes, hello from London. It's lunchtime there, isn't it? Depending where you are. Hello, Anne. I know I didn't say hello to you earlier. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yes, there's room in the seat. Anybody wants to jump in and talk about those alibis and the what ifs or if onlys? You know, if I only had somebody to help me. What's the answer to that? We'll go find somebody, right? How about that? Let's go through these. What are some good answers to these, Dina? If people didn't get on my nerves.
Yeah.
So what's a good answer to that, if that's your excuse? If people didn't get on my nerves.
I don't know how to answer that because people get on my nerves. I haven't got over that one.
All right, let's go to the next one.
So what I wanted to pick up is, like Casey said again, I often doubt myself why it is so clear when you hear or see it in others.
Yeah, they can't get your goat if they don't know where it's tied, John.
So what I wanted to say that, Casey says she's still there. It's always easy. It's always easy because we are not emotionally involved with others, so we have more clarity of what's going on with others.
Yeah.
But when it comes to us, because of our fears, our expectations, our perceptions, we cannot see our situation so clearly. And that's why we have therapies and everybody else. We just can't do everything by ourselves. Sometimes we need help from the outside, either it's business or personal.
I agree.
I want to welcome
a couple of the. I want to welcome a couple of the those who have just come in. Finola and Craig, good to see you. Mike Sheehan, nice to see you here. John Birch, has been a while since I've seen you. It's good to see you again. Welcome. Anybody want to jump in and just talk about alibis? You know, we've all got the ifs, the what ifs. I'm going to get away from the one about the nerves. Let's see. If I were not so fat, how's that? Ever heard that one or said that to yourself? If I were not so fat, I would. Well, so what's the response to that? How do you get rid of that thought?
Lose weight.
Thank you. How about if I were not so fat, I could be doing this. So instead, I will be doing things to lose the weight so that I can. So now that becomes the desire. If I had the personality of some people, I got to tell you, I've had that myself. I get a personal frustration with me sometimes is where, and I don't say it as if I had that personality, but sometimes I do say I wish I had that type of personality. Because I see somebody that I would so like to be like, that gregarious, not flamboyant, but a real definitive personality. I always look at myself as kind of blah compared to somebody who just seems to glow and have energy that comes out. And I know it's a reflection of the inside. I know that, but I'm saying that's what will come up, is that frustration comes up that says,
I totally agree.
I would really like to have that personality.
Are you talking about yourself, or are you talking generally? Because if you're talking about yourself, then I can tell you that many times I felt I'm blah. Yeah. I look at myself sometimes on Periscope and I said, yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's why I don't scope.
People don't find you interesting, you know, that's why they're not going to watch you. Right?
Right.
That's how I feel. So obviously, blah. So if you were talking about the weight, let me tell you, Charlene.
Okay.
If you think you're fat, let me just tell you, darling.
Yes, dear.
You're not fat.
Oh, yeah, I am. Oh, actually,
no,
that's not one of my issues. It's just I fully acknowledge, I'm 100 pounds overweight. I mean, I fully acknowledge it's like, I'm solid.
Maybe I should show you. I'll find a picture and I'll show you who a fat person is. Okay.
Oh,
being a little bit
overweight. I'm just saying that that's what I recognize. I'm perfectly okay with everybody.
Exactly. I was, first of all, I was sometime back. I was 58 kilos. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought
that translates.
I'm 5'1" in height.
Yeah.
So
what's 58 kilos?
I thought I was overweight.
Okay.
I would feel fat. I thought I was not a likable woman. Mm-hmm. Right? I my mom. So then I went and I checked somewhere, and for my age, and I'm not embarrassed to say my age, Charlene, you said 51. I am 50 this year.
Woohoo! Welcome to the club.
Woohoo! Welcome to the 50s. Woohoo!
I'm glad to make it this far. Yeah.
It said that I was normal, upper normal, but I was normal. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was overweight. Mm-hmm. And then, if you have it in your mind, what happens? You attract people that come and tell you, "Oh, I even had one person. Oh, you're carrying a baby." Oh,
Just say, no, it's my pillow for when I want to go to sleep.
Now I've lost a lot of weight because of my health issues. So then I said, I'm too thin. Now I want to put on some weight.
Yeah, that's why you shouldn't be listening to other people. Yes, I know.
Why we're listening on other people? I'll tell you why we listen on other people, because they are touching sensitive points within us.
Yes. Yes.
Right? If I didn't have an issue about within me, it wouldn't disturb me. Right?
I
If you
fully
tell
agree
me,
with
Dina,
that.
you're blah, I will say,
But
I would
see,
feel bad.
now that goes directly to when I talk about it'd be really nice to have that type of personality. And it's directly related to things like Periscope. I don't have followers on Periscope. So it's like proof that I'm really not that special on Periscope. Okay. It's not bringing me down. It is more of a, that's not my best platform. I need to move over here. That's how I'm able to replace it. Okay.
I didn't know you were on Periscope for it. I didn't know that's the thing with Periscope. You can't really find people.
Again, that's
If somebody
not my
hasn't
best
referred
platform.
somebody.
So I can take that and I can say, well, if I had a personality like Charlene Johnson, okay, then I could be successful on Periscope. That's one way I could say it. But that's an excuse. That's an excuse to not do Periscope. So when I even hear myself say that, it's so ridiculous because I'm not glamour girl. But if I were, I bet you I could be successful. So instead, the reality is that I'm not comfortable broadcasting without interaction. It was uncomfortable for me to do to begin with because it is just blaring out what I think needs to be blared out. It's not that I don't think I have something to say. It's just that is not the platform that I feel most comfortable sharing what I know. Right?
I understand what you mean. Many people feel like this.
What I like is interaction. I like when I'm training, if people respond. That's why I like in-person or workshop. I don't care for webinars. So I recognize that and I'm able to move on. It's not an excuse. That's not my best platform. And other platforms build my business and are in line with who I am and what I do. It would be an excuse if I didn't have success on other platforms. So that's the way it's going through my mind, trying to pick out one of these that says, how would I use it as an excuse? See, I'm really trying hard to avoid the one that I say all the time because it really is an excuse and I don't want to tackle that one. So we're trying to stay away from the real and just go with what's in there, you know? Let's see here. See how I did that? Anybody catch that? Yeah. Rationalization. I have the power here, right?
There was one comment I wanted to comment on,
okay.
but I can't find it now.
Okay. I like this. If I were still single, if I would have gone to university, if I wouldn't have had kids so young. Yeah. Again,
I can go on
we could
forever.
all go on and on, couldn't we? I think that's the whole lesson here. We could go on and on. I can find a real solid excuse when the reality is that if my desire is strong enough, I can get through the excuse. So for instance, here's a for instance. I was approached yesterday by a very successful woman business owner who wants me, and I've been asked this numerous times to write a book on on various parts of my life, married and unmarried, and how I got through things, and you know how I got to who I'm today, the struggles, and of course the answer is the classic. I went through crap and I came out smelling like a rose. I went through crap and smelled like crap until I got to the rose part. You know, that sort of book. And I'm simply not ready to do that yet. And she approached me because she wanted a very specific story from me about how I reached my ability to be real and authentic. And I just looked at her and I said, I have never known any other way to be. So you're going to have to reframe that. And she said, well, you know, in this world of transparency, see all the buzzwords she's using, in this world of transparency and all this. I said, I've always been forthright and honest, which has been to my detriment, quite honestly, because when people ask me my opinion, I give it. I've always just, this is who I am. I've never hidden anything anywhere I've ever been. But I've always been very careful about where I'm going and what I'm participating in. And she said, no, what I want is, what she said, what I want is I want a story that shows how you made an effort to change, because I've watched you change, you know, throughout these past few months especially. And I realized the first thought that came to mind was, I don't have the money to participate. And I immediately threw it out because money is never the problem. Money is never really the problem. And I sat for a moment and said, to be honest with you, I'm not ready for that level of exposure. I'm simply not ready for that level of exposure. I am step by step getting used to the exposure, if you will, amongst other people in various settings, and getting myself in the limelight, if you will, in the spotlight. I'm getting used to that, and I am still in control of when that's happening. So until I reach a point where I'm comfortable with that level of exposure, because we're talking about a publication that'll go international, it'll be a part of a book, I'm not ready at that level of exposure. Just not yet. So it was a recognition of, are you?
Send her to me. It's long pending.
Okay.
It's long pending. Interesting.
But I thought it was interesting. First, I was flattered that she thought that much of me. I thought that was actually pretty cool. But I had to get honest. And I had to be honest with her that the easy answer would be, well, I don't have the money and I don't have the time. But that wasn't true. It really wasn't. And it truly came down to, I'm just not ready for that level of exposure. Here, I can control, right, what I share and what I don't share. Why I control that, it's up to me. It's up to you. It's up to anybody who joins us here, whatever our comfort level is in exposure. What she was asking was a deeper level, and I'm just not ready for that yet. So I asked her to come back later. And I got to give shout out.
Can I give you my honest opinion on this?
Yes, of course you can. Please.
I would say in this particular responding to this particular example you have given, if it's a decision made out of, I don't know how to put it, your genuine feeling and the general logics and or either or, then you have to listen to this inner voice. But if the decision comes from your emotional comfort or fear of taking you out of your comfort zone, but in your heart you would have loved the opportunity, then you need to work on it and it can go away.
Yes, and mine was on the first one.
Between the two, and sometimes it's very difficult to decide which one, which of the two it is, I find. But if it's based on your fear, but why? Why don't you want? Okay, why wouldn't you want a national exposure? Right? Because I'll tell you what, you're good in what you do. Right, you are experienced. You've been in business for a long time, I believe. Okay, if not in business, then working. You have working experience in what you do. Okay, you can speak because not everybody comes on Blab and speaks. Even if you're asking somebody to chat, still you talk. All right. You're a good-looking woman. You don't have anything lacking which stops you to have that national exposure. Like I'm using you as an example, but that goes for all of us, right? Why
Right.
wouldn't you want? It will do good to your brand. It will do good to your business. You will earn more money. You will make more JVs, more partnerships, more collaborations. You should like take it by the, I don't know what the expression is,
Take
by
it
the
by the
horns,
horns and
right?
go. Yes.
And you're right. So need to ask, am I say, am I, is it because I don't want to come out from my comfort? Is it because it's going to push me way out of my comfort zone? Let it push you out of your comfort zone. Come to me or come anyone you feel comfortable with. Let's work with this. You can
So
get
what
it.
it is part of it is the comfort zone. But it's also part of it is that what she was really asking for, I've not completed the process yet. So it's my still getting used to the new things that are happening with me. And still, that's part of it. But
Charlene,
also,
is the
honestly,
process ever
so
stop?
part of it, I'm getting there,
That
Dina.
the
So part of
process
it, honestly,
ever stops.
and
Excuse?
that's it. So here's the deal. If I put forth this story, this has happened before, where I have participated in helping a group or being a part of something where, what I call exposure, where I shared a part of the story that makes me who I am, and I'm ready to move on. And that's all I'm doing is just sharing a part of the story of who I am. And such a response from people is like I get pulled back into that all the time. It's like, really? No, I'm over here. Let's move on. I shared that so we could be helpful. Now we can move on. And it's that pulling back that annoys me because that's not what I want to focus my attention on. That was the kind of little bit of thinking and the emotional response after I thought on it. That came from that it could be one of those things. I identified it as one of those instances where I shared just a part and that I'll always be pulled back to it. I won't feel like I can move past it, or that I'll have to pay attention to something that's really not that important to me. Meaning that I don't have something important to me that I'm willing to get that level of exposure for. So it's as deep as I'm willing to go at the moment, and I'm quite comfortable with where it sits right now. Yeah, I'm quite comfortable where it sits right now. And of course, it could be different next week. I understand that. And yet, here's the difference in that response from what it was a year or 2, 3, 10, 10 years ago, before I started my business. The response would have been an immediate no, because then I would have been put into a spotlight that my anxiety level would have thrown me under the bed. Big medication would have been needed. I literally cannot handle that type of attention. I can't do it. So that's recognizing in myself my ability to at least be aware enough to say, now is not the right time for that. Now is not a good time for me.
Okay.
I
mean, the question is, what is going to be your motivation?
Right.
Okay. Because if you say, I really want it, but I really can't.
Yeah, and that wasn't a part of it at all.
Then you need to do something about it. But if you say, well, I really can't, but I don't really want to, then you're not going to do anything about it. And there's no point of doing anything about it. But let me just tell you one thing. I want to see you on the national news. Come on, guys. Let me see in the comments.
Lord, you better watch what you pray for. I'm liable to do something silly.
Tell Charlene we want to see her the national news.
Oh, dear. Can we at least clarify as to why I would be on national news?
You know what I mean. Sharing your story, your brand,
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure exactly what you were referring to, the group, because you were very generic on that. So I don't know quite understand what you mean falling back into it. But whatever has been your past is part of
Mm-hmm.
you. It's part of your story. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
you have achieved, even if it was long back, you have achieved it. And your story will always help somebody.
Oh,
Even if you have gone over it, like
that's now,
passed it.
don't think I don't share my story, but it's usually one-to-one. There's reason why some people send their kid to me. It's usually in very, very small group, intimate settings. So in my story, I'm an open book, but you've got to ask the questions, That's pretty much the way I've always been. So to try to delineate any one piece of it makes it feel to me like, and this has happened before, well, this is all I'm known for, so this is what I'm going to get pulled into. No, I've gone through it and I'm done, and I can help in small places. So that's random thinking now, going towards it.
Anyhow,
But
I
thank
can
you
see
for
you
your
actually
confidence in
opening
me.
a magazine, a national magazine, and you are in 2 pages here, your beautiful photograph. They're speaking to people, and then all these editorials,
That could be cool. I'm just not
intermixing.
sure what I would be speaking to them about.
I'm sure you have
Yeah,
lots of things.
I could get okay with that. Again, it depends on what we're speaking about. Aloha.
Hi,
Your
Shani.
stuff.
Good
Hello,
morning,
Ham.
Gina. Hi.
Good
Okay, I
morning.
have a couple of things. I decided not to come up, but I have to.
Oh,
There
okay.
is no solid excuses. And
Hey,
Shani,
Dave.
if,
I'm really trying to avoid this. Hey, Dave. How are you?
if
Go
you're
ahead.
making the decisions, what
Yeah.
is based on what is best for you, love it. Go for it, my friend. But if you make a decision out of fear, that I have problem with.
Yes.
If you any decision you coming up with, just have to be thinking of, what is best for you, for your family, because if out of fear,
There are those
that's not
considerations
acceptable.
as well.
And when you're talking about the alibis today, if the opportunity is not knocking on your door, build the door and walk through it. Because, there is always options. Because, if you keep on sit there and thinking about what if will killing you. If you're fat, you accepting that you are okay. But if you don't, you said if you thinner or you 6 feet tall, 110 pounds, blonde hair, then do something about it. Because
That's just it.
yeah,
We can do
life
something
offer
about it.
you an options. You rather say no, thank you, or you say yes and go work for it, and then to do whatever needed to be done, because the alibis is something that the excuses that the most people are. Not just because they're afraid, but because they know their their ability to get to some places might coming up short. So they find all the excuses to support why they not get there. So be honest with yourself, because if you're looking for the the reason to support why you not get there, why not looking for the information how you get there? That's a matter of how you look at things.
Yes.
If you want to get there, find a way to get there. Don't look into the way that why you cannot get there.
That's the key. And that's what Napoleon Hill is telling us with all that whole list of what ifs, right? If onlys done by the old man if. 57 famous alibis. And I think they're famous simply because we all have either heard them or said them ourselves. And that's what will kill us. It's fatal to success. Absolutely fatal. The price is failure.
Mr. Robert C. Stern is in the house.
Good to see you. Yes, there's an excuse for everything. And I'm trying really hard to stay away from the ones that I use so that we can talk about the ones that everybody else uses and we can have a good discussion about that. I'm trying really hard, ladies. You're making it difficult for me. Seriously, what Napoleon Hill is saying on almost the last page, one of his final words is that the master key is intangible, but it is powerful. It's the privilege of creating in our own mind a burning desire for a definite form of riches. And it's, again, controlling our thoughts, recognizing that we do have that control. Hi, Cassie. Welcome.
Hi. How are you?
Doing good. It's good to see you. All right. So just so everybody knows, we've hit the top of the hour for the show. And for those who watch the replay, I'm always conscious that we stop recording at 1 hour. I can keep the room open for another hour. It's not a problem. So if you can hang tight while I do my sign off, and then we can get back to discussion. Okay. So I want to thank everybody who has joined me today in live stream and in the comments section. What fabulous discussions we've had today. Thank you for joining me on Morning Mindset Cafe. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know, www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses. Until next